But for those of you who just got the test, let's briefly go over how you take it. And the focus for this survey is your typical behavior. And what I'd suggest that you do is wait till after the class to take the test, otherwise you won't hear, because we are going to talk about two of the very important temperaments tonight. So you can take it when you get home, and you'll figure this out soon enough. But you'll notice there are 20 lines of 4 words. Now if you look at each line horizontally across, you have to rank those 4 words, where the number 4 is most like you, the number 3 you put in front of the word that's next most like you, the number 1 you use for the word that's least like you, and the number 2 you use for the word that's next least like you. So you have to use each number in each line one time. You can't go 4, 4, 4, 1 on any one line. You have to use all 4 of the numbers. What you're doing is ranking each of those 4 words in terms of whether they're most like you or least like you. And then, and sometimes this is challenging for us, but what we need to do is sometimes think about our core self, who we really are. Think about your instinctive behavior. What you normally do, just instinctively without thinking. Don't try to put down what you think would be a right answer or who you think you ought to be. This is just about basically who you are. It's helping us to accept ourselves and realize who we are. See, there's no right or wrong answers here. And sometimes, if you've had traumatic stuff happen in your life, sometimes it helps to remember how you were as a child, where you kind of go back before the trauma. And then you just kind of remember how you used to be. And so sometimes that's a key for some people to kind of tap into where you want to go. Then the temperament survey is on page 1. On page 3 of your test is the scoring sheet. And you'll notice if you look at line 1, the same 4 words are there, but now they're in a different order. So what you do is you transfer the number that you had in front of each word, you transfer it to the corresponding word on page 3. When you're all done, you add up, you total each column, and you'll get a lion total, otter total, golden retriever total, and a beaver total. So you'll see one of your numbers is going to be higher than all the others. That is your dominant temperament. And then another number is going to be the next highest. And in some cases, people will maybe have 2 numbers that are real close together that are secondary temperaments. And so you are a blend of your primary temperament and your secondary temperament. No one's purely lion or purely otter or pure beaver or pure golden retriever. We're all a blend with something else. And that's what makes life so interesting. A lion otter is different than a lion beaver. So it's interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the blends as we get going further along. And then on the back page, there is a place, once you have your numbers for your lion, otter, golden retriever, and beaver scores, there is a place to graph all of that on the back page. And then you put your lion total on the L line, and then you transfer your otter total to the O line, and so forth. And then draw a line between the dots. In other words, on the lion line, put a little dot that corresponds to your number, and then connect the dots with straight lines. Now, if you're married, or you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something, put both of your scores on one chart, and then that way you can see where you're similar. You can also see where you're different. And that's important for each of us, is to realize, what our strengths are, what our spouse's strengths are, and then what those points of differences are. Because those can be complementary strengths, or they can be points of friction, depending on what our attitude is toward those various things.